Hi everyone, it's Chef from Scrap Secrets and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we're going to be making a birthday card using supplies from a couple different companies. The stamps that we're going to use comes from an old Kindred Stamps box, so unfortunately it's not available anymore. The dies are from two different companies. The ones that you see here are from the MFT Party Decor set, and the house is from Honeybee Stamps. It's called Doghouse. There is a Doghouse die in the Kindred Stamps box, but I couldn't find it because it's actually for Christmas, and I didn't have it in the Christmas box, and that's where I was looking for it. So I was organized, but I put it in the wrong box, so I did fix that. But the Honeybee one works just fine. So we're going to stamp out the Snoopy and Woodstock images onto some white cardstock because we're going to Copic color them. We're using Copic friendly ink. And this is the, I think we're using the Hero Arts Jet Black ink. So the reason that I'm doing those two characters is because it's for someone that has a birthday in the From the Heart Facebook group, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So I ran the house die through my die cutting machine with some red cardstock, and then to bring out those embossed lines, because I really love that there's so much that there's detail in this, rather than it just being a house, you can actually see like the wood slats in it. I used a red Copic marker and went over the lines to make them stand out. And then I used some Distress Oxide in aged mahogany to add a little bit of dimension to the house. However, I think I got a little bit too much and I went down a little bit too far in there. And I also think that I should have used a different color red. This one is a really red brown. It's probably more if you want it to look aged, obviously, because it's aged mahogany. And I should have used probably more like a candied apple or not an abandoned coral, but maybe barn door or something like that, that would have given it a little bit less of a dark tone. But I kind of just went with it, and I went over the whole entire thing after I realized that I didn't love it. Put it to the side, and then once it's all together, it doesn't look bad because there are those little crepe paper like streamer things cover most of this, so wasn't something that I was going to redo, but you could if you didn't really love the way that it turned out. Now we're taking a piece of white cardstock, and I believe this is the Astro Brights, which in a minute I'll tell you why it surprised me that if this is what it is. But it is a piece of white cardstock that measures 1/4 of an inch smaller than the card base, which I believe is 5 by 6.5. These are pre-made black bases that I had, and I just go with them. I know they're a little bit smaller than the 5 by 7, but I just use what I have. It's just a little bit easier sometimes than making card bases, and I wanted this one to have a little bit more real estate on it. So I'm using this cloud stencil from A Color for Life Designs, and I absolutely love it. It's probably one of my favorite stencils that I have. I've used several different colors of Distress Oxide and Distress inks when I'm doing this. So I've done like a sunset sky where it's kind of that orangey purple color. I've used these to do, kind of a darker sky and lighter sky, and I really, really love the way that it comes out. It has a lot of options. You can turn the stencil, and then you can even flip it over to get a different cloud pattern. So you can really get a different look out of it each and every time you do a sky. So here's where, if this is the Astro Brights, this surprised me because this Distress Oxide and Rustic Wilderness went on so nice, and it's so dark. And from what I've seen, the Astro Brights is from Target, and I didn't really like the way that it blended before, but so it might be that. I can't remember which one it was. Sometimes I just have some white cardstock lying around and I just use that. So now that the ink has dried on those images that we stamped, I'm going to go ahead and color them in. And because I'm not doing anything really fancy other than coloring them in pretty basic, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the From the Heart Facebook group. So if you guys are card makers, and I'm assuming most of you that are watching these videos are, and that's why you watch these, if you're looking for either, if you don't really have inspiration and you're trying to make a card and you're sitting down thinking, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to make a card for, this group is perfect for you. If you like mailing cards, if you like bringing cheer to people, I think it's a really, really great group. So what it is anybody that is technically called a senior citizen, I believe it's like 60, 65, something like that. You can sign somebody up if you know somebody that is having a birthday, needs some encouragement, needs get well cards. People will do holiday cards. They also do senior spotlights. So if the person hasn't had a card shower in a while, they'll put 2 people up each week, and you can pick whomever you want to send cards to, whether that's for birthdays, anniversaries, anything, holidays. And it's just nice to be able to send something out to somebody who may not get any mail. Like there's this woman that I'm making a card for next that it's a woman in the group's aunt moved to a retirement home and now she has a roommate, and she asked the roommate if she had if she likes getting mail, and she said, I don't think I've ever gotten a birthday card or something like that. So sweet. Some of these people are just, this could be the only mail that they get. So I really like doing it. I will leave the link below in the description box if anybody is interested in joining the group. It really is great. And I try to do about 10 cards a month. It just makes me feel like I'm giving back a little bit, even if it's just in a teeny tiny way. Okay, so I fussy cut the images out, then I went around the edges with a black pen just to kind of make everything look finished, because sometimes I don't have the best, so some of those images are really small. There's areas where I may not have gotten as close to the image as I should have, the stamped line as I should have. Sometimes I actually went over the stamped line, and just going around with a black marker helps with that. So now I glued on a scrap piece of black cardstock to the middle of the house, so it looks like the doghouse on the shows or the movies. If you've ever seen anything with peanuts in it, it just has that like little black opening in there. So now I am going to put the streamers together. I was trying to figure out how to do this, and I was trying to figure out a color scheme. I did cut out a bunch of them off camera. I used my die cutting machine to just cut them, and I kind of wanted them to drape together. I didn't want them to be the exact same. So you'll see here I'm kind of twisting them, putting some over and under, and we're going to adhere all 3 together. I thought pink, blue, and purple were great colors. Sometimes people write in there, whoever signs them up will say that this is their favorite color scheme or this is what they like. So this woman happened to like Snoopy and Woodstock, which is why we went with these images. So it's kind of nice when people do give you kind of an idea of what the person will like. Otherwise, I'll usually just do something a little bit generic, whether it's, for women, it's usually flowers. For men, I'll try to do a little bit more of a masculine card, or animals or things like that, kind of something a little bit more generic. But I like when people actually say, this person likes this, this, and this. Especially love it when they give you a color scheme, because it makes it a little bit easier to go ahead and create a card for somebody that you really don't know anything about. So once those were all on there, I attached them to the front of the doghouse and then snipped off the excess. If I was to do this over again, I probably would have done 2 rows of the crepe paper streamers, because I think it's a little bit low. I think that looks like it's missing something at the top on the like top right. But, again, the card turned out fine. I always look at my cards and think, what could I have done differently? What could I have done better? So I don't beat myself up over it, but I just kind of, look at it and say, if I was going to do it again, this is what I would do. So I had cut out a bunch of the balloons off camera again, and I thought it would be really cute if I had Woodstock flying in the sky with a couple of balloons, and then as well as Snoopy holding some balloons. So maybe he was going to bring them to decorate. You know, maybe they were going to use those to decorate the house with. So kind of put the string behind Woodstock's face and then had it look like his arm was holding it and then the string was hanging out from underneath. And then Snoopy was just holding the balloons in his one hand. So in that MFT die set, there are 3 straight strings and 1 that's curved. So I cut all 4 of them out, and I thought the one for the curved one would look cute with Snoopy, and then the straight one would look good for Woodstock. So I'm just gluing those things into place, just making sure that everything looks good on the card. Trying to figure out where the house should go versus where Snoopy should be on there. And I thought it would balance it out really nice. I like that Woodstock was looking to the right and Snoopy was looking to the left, so it made it nice and easy to make a cohesive scene. And I could have done the card the other way and had a little bit more real estate and maybe had Woodstock on the ground, but I thought it was super cute for him to be floating in the air. Kind of like the balloons were too much for him because he's a teeny tiny little bird, and maybe the balloons were floating away. Were taking him away. So I'm sorry for some of this being off camera, but once I do put the card together, I will slide the card panel down so you can see it. I do really need to figure out a better system because I do change my camera often. I just use my cell phone to record, and I keep forgetting that I need to pull everything down a little bit. I need to have a kind of a better system. I might have to get a different, like an actual camera to videotape these on. Especially since I have a lot of videos that are going to be upcoming for the Christmas series. So if you guys have been around for a little while, I'll do a little plug on my Christmas series, do videos. I think this year it's going to be every Monday and Friday starting at the end of this month. So there will be a kind of a kickoff one. There's going to be a couple surprises this time for it. So I am getting ready for that. So I am making a lot of cards. So that's why there's not a ton of videos, because I'm prepping for that. Wanted to add some glitter to the balloons, so I'm taking my Spectrum Noir sparkle pen and going over all of the balloons. Could have done this before the clusters were put together, but didn't think of it, didn't know that that's what I wanted to do, and that's fine. I just went ahead and added it afterwards. And now we are going to add the sentiment to the top right corner. This probably is one of the most nerve-wracking things when you've completely done the card and then you're like, oh, I still have to put a sentiment on here. This is why I'm using my Misty. Lately, you will see, or even in some of the Christmas videos, you will see that I don't use my Misty, that I will just use a stamping block. However, it's usually when it's a scrap piece of paper that I'm doing it on, or there's something else. It's not on a finished card because it's, like I said, it's so nerve-wracking to do that. The last thing that I'm going to do is take some Be Creative glue from Honeybee Stamps and put it on the back of the card front, glue that down to my card base, and that's the card for today. If you guys have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below. Also, make sure that you check out the link to the Facebook group if you're interested in joining, and I'll see you again real soon for another video. Bye!